All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, I do see chat is working. That is always a good thing. We got to talk about the upcoming Jeffrey Epstein release. We'll be analyzing that. That's the big news of the day. Everyone's talking about it. By the way, there's a bunch of astroturfing going on around it too, which is not exactly a surprise. By the way, actually, let me quickly plug in my headphones because sometimes an audio issue if I don't do that. I don't know exactly why. I don't know. I'm a tech Luddite. What can I fucking say? Yes, we are live over on Rumble. So we'll be talking about that first. Also, George Soros got swatted the other day. George Soros' Southampton estate swatted in latest fake 911 call. This has been a rash of swattings over the last few weeks, targeting Marjorie Taylor Greene, targeting myself, actually. Now targeting fucking George Soros as well. So I would say that this is a little bit of an epidemic. It's an outbreak of swatting. We've got another Florida man moment. Boy, oh boy, Florida man. Look up Florida man memes sometime if you want to, and you'll see some of the craziest shit that you'll ever see in your life. But this one, I think, takes the case. Eliezer Armando Reyes Rios, 34, was involved in a single vehicle incident. And then he decided to go into a construction site and make dirt angels while waiting to be arrested by the K9 unit. Oh, my Christ. Oh, I thought this one was so funny. I was literally lolling this morning. Biden, his campaign is basically absence. We'll be talking about that. There's a little bit of an adaptation of the actual link in the description, archived, of course, from CNN. How the Biden campaign hopes to make the campaign less about Biden and more about competing with Trump. A little bit. There's some nuance there. We'll have to get into it. We also talk about the Attorney General over in Massachusetts. Boston mayor's party that excluded white officials didn't violate the law, according to the Attorney General. I'm wondering if the color of the skin were reversed, if that would still be found to be the case. I hazard a guess not. And also, we're going to talk about Green Day. I was going to do my new tech exclusive on Green Day and their Trump moment and Rage Against the Machine. We'll talk about them too. I decided to throw it in here because generally I'm a little bit superstitious as a content creator. If I try to make a video and fail 3 times in a row, I bounce the video. I put it off till the next day, or I cover it separately, and I don't cover it as a one-off. I just see it as a sign from the heavens, so to speak. Yeah. No, Tim Pool's been swatted like 13 times. So, yeah, I think he gets the award for most swatted. By the way, speaking of awards, I would like to claim a righteous victory. It looks like yours truly is still #1 on the Grifties, which means I'll be getting a nice award from Hotep Jesus et al. As when they do their Grifty Awards. I can't wait. The Sarain Chronicles. Hello, please promote my book series called The Saurian Chronicles. Okay, let me tab that. The first book of the series is Thane, son of Sora, and can be found on Amazon. Cool stuff. I like books. You may have noticed this. By the way, book a link in the description, cross-platform, pinned at the top if you're watching on YouTube. You can get all sorts of cool shit there. Sold almost 100 copies already today somehow. Not exactly sure why. It's much higher than normal. Shout out to Yakub. Yeah. Northwood, Happy New Year and many clanks to you and yours. If you made a 2024 Clanker bingo card, what event would you put in the free slot? Political shenanigans, probably. I think we'll see a lot of them in the coming year. Lots and lots of it, unfortunately. I'm a little bit hoarse today, by the way. Yeah. I don't know exactly why. It's not pollen. It's the middle of winter. No, maybe it's dust and cat dander or some shit like that. I would never stop living in the state of Florida. I just changed towns, areas, and locales, says Sunny Tanner. I don't know. I was in Florida for a limited period of time. And I mean, I had some fun, but at one point, a spider the size of my hand dropped onto my shoulder. And I was like, ooh, goodness. Another time, I freaked out my ex. I was living in Florida briefly there. And I caught one of those big ass, like, I don't know what damselfly or mayfly or something. Those big ones that are like, you can barely hold them in your hands. And I said, I'm going to eat this. And she didn't believe me. So I stuck it in my mouth and started chewing on it. And she almost vomited. That was a fun time. Yeah. Most fun you can have in Florida, eating invasive species and exotic animals. Plenty of them. Go out to the Everglades. You know, you can eat monkeys and anacondas and all sorts of crazy shit. Cobras, apparently, sometimes. King cobras, literally. Virgil Shadow, Sticks, you should try to go on the PBD broadcast sometime this year. Oh, by the way, a couple of announcements. First, as some of you know, probably at the end of the month, I'll be going on Timcast. Also, in a few days, I'll be going on with Break the Rules again with Lev. And so that's going to be fun. Reese Donald, that is gross, though. No, it's just a bug. You know, I ate the bugs before it was cool, before it was being promoted by the government. They're perfectly healthy if they're wild caught and not sprayed with a bunch of GMO chemicals and shit like that. Anyway, we'll get right into the news. The first thing I wanted to talk about today was what I talked about yesterday in the context of Bill Clinton. This is very, very important, so please do listen. Right now, there is absolutely a naked astroturfing going on with regards to the Epstein release that we may see as early as well in the next hour, potentially. It could drop literally while we're live. If it does, people DM me, make sure that I see it in chat, and I'll delve into it. Here's my suspicion. The Epstein filings that are currently being released, again, it could be today, it's within the next few days at least, are bullshit. They're bullshit because we already know most of what's in them. These filings have already been released before. It's just that the names were redacted. You're going to see a slew of names on there, but because the documents at large are still redacted, you're not going to have any proper context. The problem is that means that Epstein's plumber or Epstein's flight attendant or somebody who is actually blameless might be listed alongside people who actually are perps. They're speculating that Bill Clinton will be mentioned numerous times. That seems likely. Prince Andrew might be mentioned. The problem is these are court allegations. This is not a flight list. It's not the little black book. It's not the client list. It's not, hey, here's a list of people that I peddled 15-year-olds to and I blackmailed them. That's not what you're getting. And so what you're really getting is what we've already got. We already knew that Bill Clinton went to Epstein's island multiple times. We already knew that he's a pervert. No, even the liberals don't bother to discount that fact. It's funny, he would have been Me Too'd back in the day and they would have thrown him under the bus maybe. The list won't mean anything. What I'm thinking is that Donald Trump might be mentioned, though, somewhere on the list because he gave testimony against Epstein in 2009. And so the AstroTurf that I suspect is, and I suspect that this is the reason for releasing it, the AstroTurf will be immediately putting out hit piece articles by the legacy media, as well as an AstroTurfed attempt on Twitter and elsewhere to get a public conversation going about how Donald Trump is mentioned in the Epstein deposition documents. Clearly, he is a pervert. And here's this discredited case where somebody claims that he raped them and stuff like the Gene Carroll is trending on Twitter right now for a reason. They're already actively planning a response to the Epstein release. They are going to try to dogpile Donald Trump. That is my firm belief. The TDS sufferers will do it just out of habit. They have literally nothing to go on. But if Trump is listed at all within those documents, even if it's being listed as somebody who testified against Jeffrey Epstein, all of a sudden you're going to have the same largely photo shoot photos of Donald Trump. Here's Trump with Epstein long before anyone knew he was human trafficking. Oh, clearly that's the smoking gun. Donald Trump was banging a 14-year-old and shit like that. I see the astroturfing already. I see all sorts of false claims all across Twitter right now. They've got the flight log, but they're not releasing that. They've got the little black book of the basically like a little pirate's ledger. They've got that. They're not going to release that. This is just filings. It's just legal filings. What meaning does it have? Half the people that are going to be listed, apparently there are about 200 names in this document, but that includes alleged victims. So they're not perverts. Allegedly, they're the ones being victimized by the perverts. It's going to include staff, people that worked with Epstein who may have had absolutely no clue what the fuck was going on, people who are tangentially related to him, potentially investors, people that did business meetings with him. We don't know that all of them went to the island. If they went to the island, we don't know that they diddled a kid. We're not sure. I'm sure that they enjoyed female company, but it doesn't seem that Epstein always peddled underage people to his clientele. It appears that was more blackmail related and situationally. Certainly there were people that went there that are more into, hey, I like this 25-year-old. Well, it doesn't make him a pedophile. It means that they wanted to sleep with an attractive woman, but the woman is of age, may or may not have been coerced. Of course, that's terrible, but it's a little bit different than banging a 13-year-old. And then we'll get a list of people involved with the investigation, agents' names and stuff like that. All of these, by the way, the legacy media has already professed that this is the case. These legal filings involve people who did nothing wrong. That's probably the bulk of the names on the list, and the others are allegations, but we've already got those names. Prince Andrew, Bill Clinton, we've already got the allegations against them. We've known about them for a long time. So what is new? The only thing is that some of the Jane and John Does have been unsealed, but that doesn't mean that these individuals did anything wrong or even are particularly related to what went on Little St. James. So it's nothing. I feel that it's either a distraction or a hit piece in waiting on Donald Trump. Really, that's what I think that this is going to be. And I mean, I would love closure on the Epstein case. I would love to see the actual clientele list. Hey, here's a list of people that I serviced with underage girls, and now they know that they owe me. Otherwise, I've got them over a barrel. I'd love to see that. I don't think that I'm going to. I don't think we're going to see that in our lifetimes. Jago Sev, love the content. Sticks, please shout out the Farmington, Minnesota Tigers U12 girls hockey team. Big game coming up. Go Tigers. I don't go for sports ball myself, but yeah, sounds cool. Hockey's better than most because there's always the risk of a fight breaking out. Occam's razor. So you're live, still not used to midday lives. Brother, we have to get normies on board with reading our media. Talked to what I thought was a base nurse today who was still following the Q stuff. Very concerning. Yeah, well, it's hard to convince people that they're wrong. RZ, the legend. How did Epstein get so rich in the first place? A lot of it was investment, shuffling money around. He seems to have been talented with that. Basically, he was willing to middleman for you for a fee, and get clientele aboard. He also seems to have made a lot of money prostituting people, unfortunately. Reed Weber. They've spotted Nile crocodiles in Florida. There's a shoot-on-site order for them. Redneck Jurassic Park getting out of control. GTA 6 going to be lit. I was not aware that that was the case. The gators down there. God, the crocodiles will eat all the alligators. They'll have to do crocodile farming instead. Ashley, Happy New Year, Sticks. Glad I could catch you, and Happy New Year's to you as well. 2024, already looking better than 2023 anyway, so for what it's worth. But then again, 2023 is full of shit for the most part. Crazy year. Absolute insanity. So yes, the first news story of the live stream, the Epstein documents are probably going to be bullshit. It's probably either a hit piece in waiting with 90% of its content being redacted anyway, or it's just a boring laundry list of anyone that ever interacted with Epstein or the investigation against Epstein. So Virginia Guifer, which I'm mispronouncing, I'm sure, and other claimants, people that worked there. You know, the person who cleaned the bathrooms at Epstein's mansion didn't necessarily diddle a kid. So, you know, you're going to get, unfortunately, you're going to get people that are named in these documents that are going to get dogpiled. You know, swatted like George Soros or something that didn't do anything wrong. And if Trump is mentioned, the only reason he'd be mentioned is because he actually decided to openly talk to law enforcement in regards to the first case against Epstein and said, yeah, I have no problem with that. Yeah, well, I'm forthcoming. I'll tell you everything that I know. He threw Epstein under the bus. But watch what the TDS sufferers and the legacy media cast it as. I can guarantee the hit pieces are already written in case his name is in that document in any manner, in any way. I can guarantee you they've already written the goddamn news stories. Acolytes of Terra Feria. Hello, Sigil and or Bonehead. If you have the full support of the ATF, you now have a hefty discount for our unregistered firearms. Place your orders now. Jesus. Yeah, people are mentioning Q. It's funny because I've seen some people claim that I am a Q-tard. But as you know, if you've watched my channel for more than 10 minutes, I've been Q skeptical since literally day one because it looked like some Nostradamus schizo posting bullshit. I also think that it's an astroturf. I think that liberals invented the basic premise of it to try to distract Trump fans from going and ballot harvesting and knocking on doors. Hey, there's somebody on the inside. Don't worry, everything's perfectly fine. It's all according to the plan, basically. It seemed a little bit too on the nose to me. And there are still people that'll pretend that I was an aficionado of the Q posting for some reason, and they never supply a link to me supporting it in any way for a reason, because I never did. Ted Boland, Lionel was heavy into Q. I think he was sometimes. I think he was also skeptical of some of the posting, though. Yeah, Cicada is more interesting than Q, in my opinion. Some creepy stuff. Anyway, next news story. George Soros' Southampton estate swatted in latest fake 911 call. Yes, they've swatted me. They swatted Marjorie Taylor Greene. They swatted Cat Turd. They swatted Jack Posobiec. They also, I think didn't the Secretary of State of Maine the other day actually get swatted as well? So I guess people who are more on the right side of politics are now returning the favor. To be clear, I condemn the practice. I would never encourage a clanker to do such a thing. Number one, you're committing a felony. That's not a good idea. Number two, if you're not really tech savvy, you can get traced and then you end up in the cell with Bubba. So it would be ill-advised first. Secondly, I don't believe in shutting anyone up or intimidating anyone. I'm certain that George Soros is not particularly intimidated by this because he's like, I got more private security than the whole goddamn local police force. I feel perfectly fine. And they called up and spoke to security, searched the premises. It was a negative problem, one cop responding to the scene reported, according to the recording of police radio traffic obtained by the Post. Lamison confirmed that the 93-year-old billionaire is the owner of the Long Island estate on Old Town Road. It is not clear if Soros or members of his family were home at the time of the incident. I'm not a fan of George Soros. When he croaks, I'm going to make a gleeful video about the fact that he's gone, although he's already transferred his wealth to his son. So his evil legacy will live on anyway, and it really doesn't matter. He appears to be spending most of his time skinny dipping with muscular men in the South Seas at the moment. Kind of telling. And George Soros is a Nazi in the literal sense and a scumbag of a human being. But even a scumbag of a human being deserves to, at the very least, be the man in his own castle and be left alone at the end of the day, and not be besieged by people making phony phone calls. Think about it from this perspective. Let's say you think George Soros deserved it. Okay, what about the cops that responded? George Soros has armed private security. There could have been an incident when this happened. It could have resulted in a security member or a cop getting injured or something like that. There could have been at the same time an actual, like a mass shooting or something locally. And the fact that the two squad cars weren't there is why the perpetrator was able to kill 15 people instead of being immediately shot. Therefore, I have to condemn the very practice because of how unfortunate it could be if one of those possible scenarios plays out. That includes with George Soros, etc. At this point, because it happened to my residence a couple times, the cops don't even show up at this point. They probably won't even fucking call the next time. It's bullshit. And then they'll just go back to their actual work. I think it's a shitty practice overall. Sort of like doxing on steroids when you think about it. Andrea Viola, Happy New Year, Sticks and the chat. My wish for all of us this year is that we smarten the fuck up as Americans. Well, we'll see what happens in the election. Mike the WAP 00. Tim Pool said they did their own investigating of the swattings, narrowed it down to 3 sources, and the authorities did not care. I assume the source is government then. It's always possible. That can happen. I mean, you got some off-duty NSA agent or something with a bone to pick with a content creator, decides to swat them and happens to know the security protocols involved with covering their ass. That's possible. Think of the people that have the expertise to do such a thing and not get caught, and you're more likely to find the perp, unfortunately. So yeah, they even swatted George fucking Soros himself. I condemn it. I mean, I find it amusing, and nobody was hurt or anything like that, but it could happen, and so I can't get hip to that, man. Occam's razor. Literally, our best defense against people like George Soros and shitlib media is just letting them talk. I agree. I don't want to silence anyone because I'm fully convinced that my enemies are retarded, and so I want them to speak as much as possible. Veteran Biker over on Rumble. Love the show. Have to get you on a stream on my channel soon. Sub Vet Uncensored as fuck. Yes, I do need to go on Veteran Biker's show. Absolutely. RZ the Legend. Swatting a public figure only makes them a victim, which gains them sympathy. God forbid they pass because they become a martyr. Yeah, exactly. I mean, let's say that they swat George Soros and he gets shot. Well, then instead of being remembered as the Nazi sympathizer who poured hundreds of trillions of billions of zillions of gazillion goddamn dollars into the political system to run roughshod over civil liberty, is remembered as the old feeble dude who got shot. That's unhelpful. Yeah. Matt Thornton, what advice might you have to offer to someone thinking about moving to New Hampshire from the Midwest? It's a good idea. New Hampshire is a good state. Let's get ready for some brutal winters, I suppose. Mike L2535, sick hicks nick 6 slick bricks with picks and sticks. I think I nailed it. Yeah, Breon, time to upgrade to arrest. He's a criminal. Yeah, I think that George Soros should be arrested and tried for various high crimes and misdemeanors, but that ain't the way to get it accomplished, and it's not the way to do it. If anything, it'll get him sympathy. Essential Liberty, just stocked 300 Blackout Subsonic. You should get an AR pistol and can in that caliber. Depending on ammo, it's a silent 45 ACP or full power 7.6239. Clankers get 10% off with promo CLANK at mtpew.com. I'll consider it. Yeah, Blackout is pretty cool. Next news story. Oh, yes, we've got another Florida man. Florida man caught on video making dirt angels while running from deputies on Christmas Eve. So this is a few days ago. Eliezer Armando Reyes Rio, 34, is about my age, was involved in a single vehicle incident on Christmas Eve and managed to escape before his arrest. I'm going to read through a little bit of this because this is classic Florida man. The Florida man meme is like random Florida dudes going crazy and doing like weird shit. You've also got Vermont man now, although I note that about 90% of them are actually from New York City. There's probably a reason for that. Vermonters tend to be more level-headed. We're definitely bombastic online. By the way, more hate speech per capita than literally any other state. Of course, the way that's defined, I actually support it. Hate speech is free speech, my friend. But we tend not to do terribly crazy shit. Most of the crazy shit in small town Vermont is, okay, the local high schoolers are having a kegger party and they got busted up by the sheriff or something. That's basically Vermont. The drug shootings and stuff do happen now. Thankfully, they're still not terribly prevalent. When Fox News released its high crime cities list there, and Rutland was, I think, number 7, I was laughing my ass off. I think you'll probably survive coming to Rutland, where we're not Chicago or something like that. A Florida man was caught on video making dirt angels on a construction site while deputies searched for him after leaving the scene of a crash on Christmas Eve. I suspect that there may have been multiple substances involved in this particular incident. Just after 7 p.m., deputies said the driver, who was involved in a one-vehicle car crash in Tampa, that was where I was, it can be edgy, fled the scene of the crash before law enforcement arrived, according to a post made on social media by the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office. Deputies identified the driver as Eliezer Armando Reyes Rio, 34, who they said took off and ended up climbing a fence into a large construction site. While running from deputies, Reyes Rio was seen on video by the sheriff's aviation unit, laying down in a pile of soil and started making what officials described as dirt angels. He was also seen making calls on his phone. I hope that there's a recording of one of those phone calls, because this dude must have been blasted out of his goddamn fucking gourd. Just so you all know, he's just casually laying there with his arms behind his head, the pilot told deputies on the ground. Yeah. By the way, there's links to other Florida man articles. Florida man goes fishing in Bass Pro Shops pond and flees with live 50-pound tarpon. Florida man claims to be Captain America with top secret info to get into Air Force Base. DOJ says. Oh my God. Florida man arrested for deliberately hitting deer and filming it for TikTok, according to police. This is just the surface. We're only this is only the visible part of the iceberg that is Florida man's meme. I mean, Christ almighty. And you know that he was high, drunk, or both. Because if you're involved in a single person crash, you wait. Even if you're intoxicated, okay, you got DUI or something, but ultimately, like, the fact that you crashed your car is more your problem than anyone else's. So you go to the drunk tank, you pay a fine or something. You know, they suspend your license temporarily or something like that. I mean, unless this dude is a recognized felon to begin with, and he's like, oh shit, I just fucked up real bad, and now my suspended sentence is going to bite me in the ass. Otherwise, I can only assume that intoxicants of some sort were involved. So he was high or he was drunk or both. The fact that he decided to go into the construction site and getting an additional charge in the process for actually trespassing there to make dirt angels. And I really, really want to hear this call so much. Oh my God. Can you imagine being the pilot that's watching this happen at the time, by the way, and how funny that would be? I wouldn't even be able to take it seriously. I'd be like, okay, you might want to just back off, and he's clearly high as balls. Just let him sober up. I'll keep an eye on him for the next couple of hours because he's going to have a real tough time. He's going to be kind of hungover. I don't even know if I'd have the heart to arrest the dude. If I were a cop, I'd get suspended if I were a cop, because if something like this were to happen, I would be shaking my head and bawling with laughter. Journey, Trials, and Joy. In Metal Gear Solids 4, they had a tech that would not allow people to operate guns without the bioclearance. Would you support that kind of tech? Nope. No, and manufacturing firearms is not terribly difficult, so I think that's a lost cause or argument. Captain Tallywhacker Nom Nom. Diversity, Equity, and Seclusion by Make Punk Rock Great Again is a banger. They better keep us divided because they don't want us united. Yeah, true. G Phaser. Thoughts on Illinois assault and mag ban? As a Michiganer, I've known Barbie doll reject Whitmer and her Democratic legislator are itching to follow up. I oppose all forms of gun control. In the end, SCOTUS will probably have to reiterate Bruin again. And they're not going to have any choice because the states continuously ignore it. They ignore the existence of Bruin, making up decisions out of thin air. Like with the Massachusetts decision, the judge in that case, the federal judge, found that there was a historical tradition of gun control, allowing them to ban effectively all semi-automatic weapons in the state. But no case law was cited. Well, that's because there is no case law. You can't go back beyond Crookshank and find any anti-gunnery in the United States. All the founders were dead 50 years before then. I think Hamilton was the last one, and that was 1828 or thereabouts, if I remember correctly. They were all dead. Nobody that participated in the revolution was still alive. They were all completely dead. The only people that were alive even for that period of time would have been little kids. They would have been geriatric at that point. Clearly, they weren't part of the Continental Congress or anything like that, but they made the decision anyway. They didn't cite any case law. They simply stated an opinion that there was a historical precedent without giving that precedent. And so the Supreme Court is probably going to have to weigh in on Bruin a second time, unfortunately. Apache, in MGS4, biotag guns were shown to be a terrible idea when Liquid Ocelot hacked the system and had a monopoly on all the guns. I have no clue what you're referring to, but it sounds cool anyway. Music and fiction. Just got in here and noticed that Soros got swatted. Possible needed distraction from the fact that most swatting victims are populists and or alt-tech folks? No, I think that it's retaliatory on behalf of people that saw all of the swatting incidents recently. I think Marjorie Taylor Greene, Posobiec, Cat Turd, myself, and others, and decided to return fire. The problem is that then you end up with endless retaliation, and then pretty soon, what the fuck are the cops going to do? If enough people start swatting, I mean, how are they going to respond to genuine crimes? They'll be busy all of the time with bullshit, and that's not a good idea. Logan Porter. After all these years, I decided to get on X. Holy crap, I had no idea it was that bad. It's like watching a car crash. I don't want to look, but I can't stop. I like Twitter. I don't know. I don't see the chaos on there. There's a lot of shitty opinions, but I find that funny. Andrew Saberg. I lived in Tallahassee for 10 years, including Andrew Gillum's term as mayor. I saw lots of crazy crap there and was also carjacked. That sucks. Not surprising, though. Nicholas H.A.S. Longtime viewer, first ever super chat, starting this new year off with a new girlfriend who's the greatest person ever. We are all going to make it, bros. White pill forever. Yes, this is a no black pill zone. Thank you for that. Next news story. First, I'll read the title and then I'll give my thoughts. How the Biden campaign hopes to make 2024 less about Biden and more about a contrast with Trump. That's the CNN Politics article. I would state it a little bit differently. How the Biden campaign hopes to make it less about Biden and more about being goddamn absent. Joe Biden would be well warned that he probably shouldn't tweet at all. I mean, I know he doesn't make his own tweets, but his staff. Don't say anything. Don't campaign. Literally just stay in the White House. In fact, if Biden was to be given one piece of advice, which he won't take, by the way, it would be to come out, accept the nomination, and then say, but I'm too busy being president to go and campaign. So I will not be going to many campaign stops. I'm going to be here doing work for you. Now, most people, of course, don't want him to work for them and completely are repulsed by his administration. For your core fans and for left-leaning independents and for generic partisan Dems, that would actually be a selling point. Be absent. Don't be on the air. Don't go on the news. Don't go to a rally. Don't do goddamn anything. Trump, meanwhile, may not be able to campaign. He may be under house arrest by the time that the general election actually begins. He could be in a jail cell, which probably secures him the re-election, causing absolute goddamn chaos, which is what I'm hoping for. Joe Biden, though, in my opinion, basically is going to be an absentee campaigner. Now, he was in 2020 as well. You'll remember during the lockdownerism and stuff, Trump's holding rallies with 10, 15,000 people, and Joe Biden's holding limited events, limited schedule, limited size. There was that one hilarious moment where they had a drive-in rally, and a bunch of people started honking their horns and chanting, "Let's go, Brandon." You remember that one? That was during the election. And so, yeah, he got 81 million votes, by the way, totally above board, and all of the T's crossed and I's dotted. Honk, honk. And that was funny. I have a feeling that'll happen again. And it'll be basically because Joe Biden knows two things. First, he's not fit mentally and physically. He's not capable of doing the heavy campaign schedule thing anyway. And so he's got that plausible deniability for when he only does a handful of rallies, etc. Secondly, when he does hold an event, it'll be dwarfed by the event that Donald Trump is holding on the same day, and Trump will be doing like a 5-to-1 sort of thing. So it would be good advice for him to literally come out, well, basically now and say, okay, I'm running, but I'm not really going to be campaigning. I'm too busy. Or something like that. Hey, I've got too much to do. I've got to mop up Donald Trump's dirty mess that he left in the White House. This would actually be a win for him if he were to do that. I suspect that he won't, though. I suspect that announcement will never be made and that he'll simply still have that really limited campaign schedule, and it'll begin to irk certain people. It'll irk his remaining fans, and it'll irk other people who really, really want to see him take a pratfall so they can joke about him. It'll definitely bother me because every time he comes out on stage, he has a tendency to say something batshit. And, that's good for me as a political commentator. So, Nelson's TASS and Game Archive. Saleh al-Aruri, Hamas commander, whacked by IDF drone in Beirut about an hour ago. At least 6 Beirut civvies killed and dozens injured. Borders be damned. Oh, interesting. I'll have to, let me grab that name. Let's see, just a second here. Saleh al-Aruri. Thank you for the news tip. That'll probably be on a video tomorrow. Steve D. Martin. Hey, Sticks. Just want to say I've been following you daily since your Why I Left the Satanic Church video. Your political analysis is spot on. It's been my pleasure to be on the Sticks train. Clank, clank to you as well, and thank you very much. More content coming soon. Like, every single goddamn day until I'm dead. Gerald Armstrong, Sticks, I'm retired and go to school. When I came home from the holiday, I got jury duty summons for federal court. Went online and used the full-time student excuse. Interesting. Though you could have used jury nullification and been part of the jury. Take one for the team. At least you get paid a pittance for being on a jury, I guess. Don't they bring you lunch and stuff when you're sequestered? Mike the Wapo, at Mechanic earlier getting oil change, and they had a raffle going for an AR pistol 10.5 barrel. Proceeds for kids' baseball team. Isn't America great? Yeah, guns are fun. Can't wait to buy the next one. In fact, I'll do that tomorrow, actually. I just need a varmint rifle for the guard, and that's something in 22. I'm not looking for the heavy cal right now. I like tactical pistols the way they look, and I like the revolvers especially, but I figured that I need something like an actual rifle for badgers and skunks and shit like that. Al Swisher. Happy New Year! Please shout out my band, the Scarecrow Heroes. We just released our latest single entitled Come On Prudence. Clank on. Okay, we've got the Scarecrow Heroes. You can hear them on the internet. Sometime I should do musical reviews or something. I'd have to get permission to play the goddamn music. Radine, did you take any hard drugs like crack or meth back in the days? Or were you a psychonaut? If so, how did you experience them? I was just a soft drug user. I used psychedelics mainly. Most of them were good. Yeah. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you that they're safe or that you should use them. The only one I didn't really like was psilocybin, but that's because I got azaresins. I didn't realize how powerful it was going to be. I thought it was regular psilocybin cubensis because I'd never used it before. I got it from a friend that was technically co-worker at UVM, and she warned me, be careful with these. And I'm like, okay, well, this is dose, because I was looking at the weight and I was like, okay, this is a dose of psilocybin, but it was about 4 doses and it blew me into the stratosphere and the ceiling was melting in the floor. I could literally lift it up and it would drip off my hand and totally weird shit. Definitely the most psychedelic visual experience that I've ever had. LSD, I thought, was much more gentle, which is something which countermands the average person. Most of them think psilocybin is better, and LSD is a little bit more difficult. And also, for some reason, this may be because I'm not neurotypical, so to speak. A lot of people, they complain that the coming up on LSD is easy, but the come down is hard. I found the exact opposite. When you're riding into the experience, I was like, oh shit, I'm on LSD, I'm on acid and shit. And I wonder how powerful this is going to be. And I got like a bit anxious. Once it kicked in, fully blissful, totally meditative. The come down was as gentle as a lamb. Fucking loved it. Probably the only drug that I would wish that I could use again, but can't do drugs anymore. I had too many responsibilities and probably blasted out some of my receptors when I had my spice overdose. So I don't fuck with that shit anymore. Al Swisher, play Scarecrow Heroes music on your channel anytime. Well, thank you for that. I'll take a look at that. Yeah, so Biden's non-existent bullshit of a campaign. Basically like a wet turd. Sigilstone, Sticks, you and Razor need to have a discussion about the public domain. Have a feeling you'll disagree and it'll be interesting. And the saturation on your camera is fucking ludicrous. Yeah, my camera's got a few issues. With the lighting. I'm going to get a better setup soon. I'm going to get a more professional camera and follow up. Come on, Sticks. Get a Barrett 50 cal with 50 BMG rat shot. Mean be damned. Vaporize the little fuckers. Atomize them. You know you want to. No, actually, I want to kill them and hoist their dead bodies along the garden fence as a warning to the other miscreants to stay the fuck away from my carrots. I'm going to impale them. Vlad the Impaler style. Don't worry, they'll be dead to begin with when I do that. Steve Martin, get an M&P 1522. Yeah, I just want to get a regular 22. It can be bolt action. It doesn't need to be semi-auto. I'm pretty sure that I can bullseye a skunk at 20 yards with a rifle. I don't think that'll be a problem. And yeah, it's just for garden defense, basically. Right now, I've just got some traps out there. My grandfather had a shit ton of them, and I kept some of them back. Most of them were sold to a collector. But I kept, I think, 3 or 4 of them actually for, the smaller vermin that'll get into your garden. By the way, there's already an air gun here, which is useful for garden defense. My dad apparently shot a rabbit at one point and killed it with the air gun. But I want something that uses actual bullets because they're fun. Stephen Kinsey, debate Wendigoon on the origins of Christianity. I miss your occult videos and parenting book. More occult videos to come. I was going to get to some more of them that are planned out before the end of the year. I was swamped. I didn't even have time to do proper Christmas shopping except for my niece. Everyone else just got money. Yeah, I could debate that topic. Reed Weber, Psilocin is very chaotic. Always made my skin crawl on the come up. Most confusing drug I've ever used. Yeah, it was just too strong for me. If I had broken it up into 2 or maybe even 3 doses, it probably would have been spectacular. It probably would have been great. But I expected that the bag was 1 dose. And so I overdid it just a little bit, unfortunately. Next news story. Boston mayor's party that excluded white officials didn't violate the law, according to the Attorney General of Massachusetts. The AG's office has received 4 complaints over Michelle Wu's divisive holiday party. The article is not readable on the archived link because Fox News has decided to go full retard at this point, and they don't play well with the archive unless you're already signed in, subscribed, and then you have to archive it yourself, and then you can share it out. They've been doing that more and more. It's not a great idea because it makes me much more likely to refer to them at goddamn all. Anyway, with regards to this Christmas party, I was just thinking, and you're probably thinking what I'm thinking. If this were a white-only Christmas party or get-together of any kind, white-only meatball night, white-only Subway night, only white people are allowed at this, we're going bowling or something. This is for white members of the city council. Can you imagine the sheer outcry and the number of complaints? It wouldn't be 4 complaints, it'd be 4 million of them. And they'd be from all over the country, by the way. The AG would definitely do a thorough investigation. There would probably be charges of discrimination levied. But the fact is that this was a party for colored people. Oh, wait, they're BIPOC now. People of color, colored people, never understand the nuanced difference between the two. It's almost like it's the goddamn 50s again. And apparently Boston is now the center of segregation. To be clear, I don't have a problem with racially limited spaces. This does not appear to have been taxpayer funded. That would be a problem. I don't care if, lawmakers of color or whatever the fuck you want to call them decide to get together any more than like female lawmakers deciding to say I have a tea party. That's perfectly fine with me. It doesn't offend me. But the hypocrisy is sheer, because if other groups of people were to do exactly the same thing, they would get in trouble. If not necessarily in a legal sense, they would definitely get shit canned politically. Do you think that Michelle Wu would have any goddamn hope of re-election if she were white and this were a white person's Christmas party? She'd be riding on 0 for public support. She would get completely gobsmacked and hammered. It'd be like Sheila Jackson Lee on steroids. And you know it, and I know it, basically. By the way, Boston actually is not a bad city by city standards. It's pretty good by city standards. I'd say the nicest city that I've ever seen in the United States, though, was San Antonio, Texas. Oh boy, nice and shiny, clean, cleared out. A really, really nice city. Second was, I can't remember. It was one of those cities in Illinois, not Chicago. I think it might have been Springfield in Illinois. When I went on my road trip back, way back in the day in 2008, by Greyhound bus, because I was too stupid to realize that air prices were about the same. So I spent 2.5 days going down to Texas and 2.5 days coming back. And that was most of my spring break. And of course, that was I was with my ex-wife at the time, and party hardy. So I got to see fucking half of the United States. I saw everything under the sun. I'll say the shittiest city that I was in, though, was Atlanta, Georgia. Oh my God, Springfield, St. Louis is a close second, but Jesus Christ. I was in the Greyhound station. I love telling these stories, by the way. I get to be a little bit nostalgic. I'm in my mid-30s, so sue me. I'm in Atlanta, right? And there's this, you're in the Greyhound station. I didn't even need to depart the bus, I think. Don't even think I needed to change buses for that one. And there was like this gangster-looking dude, outside on the side. And he had all blue on, so I'm assuming possibly literal Crip. And it was this weird, it was sort of like a turtleneck, but it came down to his knees. Like he didn't have pants on. He had this like weird onesie or something, and a do-rag, of course. And there was this relatively attractive lady there. She looked like maybe a doctor or a lawyer or something. She could have also been an escort. And talking to him, and he's doing like gang signs. He's trying to teach her gang signs right outside in the fucking Greyhound terminal. It's like, welcome to Atlanta, bitch. To anyone who lives in Atlanta, I'm sure the food's good and the climate and stuff, but I don't think that I'll visit your city again. Sorry about that. Yeah. There will probably not be a Styx, Hex, and Hammer Clank get-together in Atlanta anytime soon. I think I'd rather go to New Orleans or something like that. Sticks in St. Louis. Yeah, we'll see how long he survives. OMG puppies. There are serious air rifles like Texan SS. It will fire a 45 slug at 1,100 feet a second. Comes with a scope and suppressor. Quite cool looking. Yeah, that probably costs more than just getting the cheap 22 varmint rifle, though. I'm just going to get a 22. In the future, I want to get a 308. But for right now, it's more guard and defense. It's a holding pattern at the moment. I've already got several firearms, so I'm already safe. It's just this is for convenience. That'd be kind of cool for plinking and stuff like that. I mean, I can hit him with the 22 revolver, but, you know, long gun is going to be more accurate. You're not going to be able to get too close to the skunk before you have to open fire. And I really don't want to get sprayed by a skunk because that would suck ass. Sigil Stone, would you really want to go to a party full of political grievance mongers? Sounds like all the white people got a convenient excuse to dodge that bullshit. Yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, they can always have their own party, but imagine if the white lawmakers in Boston were to have responded to the accidental emailing about this black-only Christmas party by having their own white-only Christmas party. They would be crucified. Every one of them would lose their jobs. Oh my God, you're such horrendous racists. Yeah, you're literally just doing exactly what Michelle Wu has done with regards to black and Asian and Hispanic people, but you're the villain now. Mr. Bird. Squawk, the Parrot Army has been mobilized to join the fight and do poop binging runs on Boneyard's grave. Oh God, we're going to get a Clank Civil War going on at some point with all this shit. Yeah, I'm going to cue that. Okay, there we go. And then the final news story. I am very, very sorry to report this, but Billy Joel Armstrong is not a friend to Donald Trump. Yes, Green Day might be slightly political. So is Rage Against the Machine. Believe it or not, these people are not populists and conservatives. Sarcasm aside, this is like the most funny thing that I've seen yet. Green Day reworks hit song lyrics to trash MAGA agenda during Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve on ABC News. The Green Day has one advantage. Let me put it this way. If the world of music were beverages, Green Day would be like a wine cooler. Here's the thing. You're on Dick Clark's show. Okay, there's number one. It's being hosted by ABC, major network number two. Your worth is probably 20, 30 million goddamn dollars, number three, and you're about 20 years past your prime at this point. And you think that you're edgy. At least one thing we can say for Green Day, they didn't sell out because they were never in to begin with. Unlike Rage Against the Machine, the anarcho-communists that became massively wealthy and still say exactly the same shit that they were saying in 1996. It's almost hard to react to this because it's like, Jesus Christ. Green Day, it's mall punk at best. If you look at like When September Ends or something like that, it's not even punk at all. It's emo music more than anything else. They get their start in the 2000s. A lot of people think of them more as like the 90s mall punk band, but really their big breakthrough was the 2000s. And their main album that broke them through is barely even punk rock at all. I don't have a problem with them, though. I'm going to be that content creator. I don't mind Green Day. I would much rather listen to Green Day than I would a lot of the music that's on the radio. I like the Modern Alternative channel at this point because they get a lot of retro overlap. There's a lot of synth, sometimes cabaret elements. Actually, I think those two go really fucking great together. It's like Roxy Music is charting again or something. I like it. The kids are all right with me. God, Gen Z is spoiled compared to the millennials with regards to good music. We got black metal and a bit of a retro scene, and that's literally all we got. Gen Z, they start off the bat with retro cabaret synth. Okay, I think that you've bested my generation musically already. But I would rather listen to like gangster rap than most of what's on the goddamn pop radio. At the very least, if I listen to Green Day, it's listenable. You Know Your Enemy, okay, that's a banger. American Idiot's a fine song. It's got a good beat. At the very least, it's a sort of a punky beat. I think I'd rather listen to the Ramones or something like that. If I want to listen to real punk, I'll listen to Gigi Allen or the Ramones. Again, a little bit more mall punk than anything else, but better than Green Day. But they're not unlistenable. At the very least, I'll give them one compliment. You've got musical talent. It's just that some of your songs aren't punk. Your message is stale. And it doesn't surprise anyone. I almost didn't even understand. Some Trump fans were like surprised over this morning. I go on Twitter, see Green Day trending. I look into why. And there were people that were confused. They was like, oh my God, Green Day is being all political and sour. Green Day political? No. Really? It's a real big surprise. It's sort of like goddamn, The Clash, by the way, is really good. The Cure and stuff like that. Some of the goth punk crossover stuff, like The Cure or Inks, actually. There's a little bit of a punk element at times in their music as well. I like what the fuck is it called? I can't even remember. Cyberbilly is pretty good. Not Billie Eilish, by the way. Stephen Nizek, rage in support of the machine. Yes, that appears to be what they have devolved into at this time. Green Day didn't have to devolve, though. They always were just standard, sort of artistic leftoids that got really rich really early on. And Billy Joel Armstrong, and I'm sure that he really, really hates it when people say Joel instead of Joe. There's a reason why we would do that. He's talented. Got a good voice, generally speaking. A little raspy now, but it's just not really necessarily a punk band at this point. More like soft rock or something like that. You're trying to be the next Eagles, I suppose. Mike the Wop, Ruger 1022 rifle is probably the most popular in this country for your application. Enjoy the gun hunt. Yeah, I'll be going to the gun store, I don't know, maybe tomorrow or something. I just want to get a relatively inexpensive, preferably semi-auto, although it doesn't have to be, 22 rifle for garden defense. That's all I need. I've already got a 9mm for medium-sized game. I get attacked by a coyote. I'm not going to use a 22 rifle, but this is more for the skunks than anything else. They're pervasive in this area. Elisha Jones, enjoying the Vanilla Ice and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle show Trump had. Yeah, that was pretty fucking funny. The Mar-a-Lago is like Jesus. Definitely got some good parties going on there. I wish. I think it's a little too expensive for me to step my foot in the door. Sadly, Apache, afraid to say the British cigarette word, but will bash Orange Man. Wow, so edgy. Really sticking it to the man live in Times Square on ABC. Yes, as part of Jesus. I mean, it's sheer. It's just so funny. Everything about it couldn't be funnier. Lev Polyakov, I've run out of Antons. I thought it would last me a week in 3 days because I couldn't stop. Hard to decide between the Angus beef sticks or the bison. I will always choose the bison myself. There's bison burgers in the freezer. You should see the fucking freezer. It's full of crazy shit. Nelson's TAS and Game Archive. Green versus Taylor Swift for Worst Industry Plant Pop Act. Which one is more grating? Well, Taylor Swift has definitely been astroturfed more. Although, again, I will say she does have a good voice. She does have some songs that I actually like. It's just most of it is just pop trash, so I don't really listen to it. I know most of my favorite music was made before I was born, actually. I tend to be in early 80s and late 70s. That's sort of the sweet spot, like, Black Sabbath, shit like that. Yeah, the good shit. Back before Ozzy discovered coke when he was just on weed mostly and pills. Coven. Coven's a great band. Late 60s through the 70s, early and mid 80s is basically like a 20-year sweet spot where music really was banging in the United States. Although, again, I will say, as far as the alternative scene, it's better now than it's been at any other time that I was alive. I'm very happy about Gen Z's musical choices in that sense. Senor Faces, since you mention it, did you listen to Drab Majesty? Heard of it. I don't know if I've gotten a chance to check it out yet. I'll look that up. Drab Majesty. I'll check it out later. 9 Inch Nails is redeemable. Some of their music. I'm not really much into the industrial style scene. I'm going to listen to that kind of music, like that general core of me. I prefer Marilyn Manson, actually. Who, by the way, did nothing wrong and is still being persecuted for having done nothing. Let's see. Sigil Stone. Green Day is a bunch of fogies that don't realize what year it is. It's a little bit like listening to REM, I guess. The times they have changed, and they're so edgy and outside the system, they're on public radio and corporate TV. Pussies. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is, they never sold out because they were never in. They were never really punk in the general sense. Some of the early music's like, it's all right and stuff, and American Idiot did seal the deal. Didn't they sell like 6 million copies of that album? I wonder how much goddamn money these people have that they're complaining about populism. I bet they wouldn't be complaining about Donald Trump's tax reform, though. Ecstasy. Breaking. Claudine Gay just resigned. Oh, goodness. I'll have to thank you. Let's fact check this live. Harvard President Claudine Gay to resign over plagiarism claims and disastrous anti-Semitism testimony. Couldn't happen to a nicer person. Yeah, thank you very much for that news tip. Sigilstone, check out Wild Arms Research on Twitter. Learn how to 3D print your own 4-tubed rocket launchers like the one from Fallout 4. Irga Splitten Loudenboomer and AT420 if you need more search keywords. I don't want no problems with the ATF, so I'm not sure that I'm going to 3D print a rocket launcher, although the idea definitely appeals to me. W. Curtin 1962 on Rumble is now a monthly supporter. Thank you very much. By the way, please send no more super chats. I'll get through these last few. OMG Puppies. Have you heard Lady Gaga singing with Tony Bennett? Surprisingly great voice. Lady Gaga is another example of someone who is mainline vapid pop, but I actually like some of the music. And her Super Bowl performance was second only to Prince. Yes, I put her above Michael Jackson. I'll tell you why. Let me go on a mini ranks. I've thought about this before. Prince could dance, sing, and play an instrument all at the same time. Michael Jackson was the most excellent dancer, but he was lip syncing. With Lady Gaga, she didn't quite rise to Prince levels because she wasn't doing all three things simultaneously, but she did dance and sing, and she was not lip syncing, and play an instrument separately. I give her the second best Super Bowl halftime show, and I don't even like sports ball. I don't even like Lady Gaga that much. Politically speaking, I'm sure that we would do nothing but debate if we spent 10 minutes together. But I mean, you cannot, no, please do not try to claim that she's not talented. And she was never out of breath either. She's dancing and singing at the same time, gyrating around stage, hanging off wires, doing fucking hula hoops practically. And damn, she does have a powerful voice. Michael Jackson couldn't pull it off. He's the third best. Unfortunately, my main man, Tom Petty, would be just middling. I love Tom Petty. Cried when he died, actually. But, yeah, middling overall. Nelson's Tassin Game Archive. You dig Mad Lib Mind Fusion Volume 2. Cheers. Sounds cool. Holdol. Check out Dookie Spooky Podcast. Mr. Bird, what's your opinion on secret societies or clubs? Do you think they can still be created in modern times or just LARP? A lot of it is symbolism and or LARPing. For instance, like with the Freemasons. The Freemasons, a lot of it is psychodrama, ultimately. With maybe Levian Satanism, you're paying $200 for a little red card. That's basically it. Yeah, you can create a secret society, but keep in mind, two can tell a secret if one of them is dead. So it's kind of difficult. Yeah, no, I was upset when Tom Petty died. I was like, fuck, shit. One of the greatest rockers. I covered one of his songs when he died. I can't remember if that's still up actually at the moment. I think I might have taken it down because of copyright bullshit. When is Styx going on Timcast? That will be at the end of the month. Yes, I'm going to be transiting down there to the region. I think it's on the margins of West Virginia and Maryland, if I remember correctly. Maryland. Who knows? Marylanders don't know either, apparently. And yeah, I'll be going on Timcast. Fucking can't wait. It's going to be some great times. Supposedly, I get to meet Cassandra's pet monkeys, too. And she'll bring, like, one of them over to the studio. And I've never interacted with one of those little fuzzy monkeys. But I'm going to try to get, like, a mango beforehand sliced up or something like that. Because monkeys are just the fucking greatest. I'm hoping that it climbs up on my head and does, monkey things. Monkeys are great. I don't understand. Some people don't like them. Like, my mom doesn't really like monkeys. Or apes. She's kind of grossed out by them. I'm like, yeah, but come on. They do cute little humanoid things with their hands and wiggle their tails around, and they're all fuzzy. And then they stare at you and beg you for a banana or something. It's going to be hilarious. I'm hoping that she remembers to. I'm going to remind her beforehand. Please bring monkey. I'm going to return to monkey. I'm going to end up living the enclosure too. I say, fuck, I've got mangoes and bananas all day, and I don't have to make videos anymore. Your girlfriend Gypsy Blanchard is on Styx, is that little voice. Yeah, I covered that the other day. Gypsy Rose Blanchard, of course, who had her sort of online boyfriend kill her mom because her mom was massively abusive. And it's like, I don't know. I don't think she should have gone to prison for it. It seemed like she was a little bit emotionally and mentally scarred. She seems a little bit better now. Monkeys aren't going to bite your fingers off. You just have to make friends with them. Animals fucking love me. Crows follow me around. Cats always come up to me. Dogs like me. Actually, I don't know if there's ever been an instance of an animal that didn't really like me. Hell, the cats here are more skittish than some of the fucking wild animals. They'll just come right up to me as squirrels and shit. I love it. So I'm assuming that I can get along with Monkey. The Virgo on fire. Happy New Year, Sticks. Looking forward to your news analysis and staying prepped for a possible civil war at this point. Yeah, get some potassium iodide tablets. May we all come out of this year alive and with Trump as our president again. I'm hoping so. I probably should do a little bit more prepping. Kind of just waiting to massively expand the garden, because if you do home canning and stuff like that, I mean, I'm not sure how many jars I'm going to have to buy, but I have a feeling it's going to be in the more than 1,000 range, actually. Considering the number of beds I'm already prepared, what I think I'll have the energy to prepare, especially in spring when my energy runs a lot higher than this time of year, I'm thinking about like pre-making soup and canning that, all sorts of pickled beets, certainly actual pickles, especially the spicy ones, because those are the greatest with curry in them, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. It's going to be fantastic. I'm going to actually probably get 2 pressure canners, larger ones than we've got here. I'm probably going to get 2 of them to operate in tandem, because otherwise it's going to take me 1,000 years to pressure can everything. Courier Jackalope 91. Happy New Year, Sticks. You're a Disney princess with your animals and lovely hair. Thank you for the compliment. Lots of animals around. Sometimes Quincy comes in here and he putters around, and he's the headbutter of the family. So he'll just come up and thump. He'll thump himself against you, and then he'll wait until you pet him. He'll just stand there with his head on your leg sometimes. Yeah, Suze. She conned her autistic ex-boyfriend to off her mother. Exactly. And he shouldn't be in jail either. Actually, the abuse in the situation was so grave and so sheer. She, I don't think, should have been held fully responsible. Effectively, she was nothing more than a hostage. He acted upon her words, but he believed it to be a dire situation, basically like a hostage with a terrorist or something like that. And it seems that was actually not far off the mark. So I wouldn't have put him in prison at all. Maybe juvie or something like that. Metalhead Madman, did you see Todd Howard's Starfield received 0 awards? His sour reaction was priceless. They should just do the next goddamn Elder Scrolls or Fallout already. Make everyone happy. Nobody wanted Starfield. Okay, we're going to take Fallout, but we're going to strip out all of the fun things in Fallout. Okay. Billy, do you think Ted Kaczynski's Industrial Society and its future was spot on, especially paragraph 15? I think that Ted Kaczynski, who was a complete genius, by the way, was right about the problems entailed in industrial society, by and large. I don't support his methodology, and he didn't really accomplish anything in it. But yes, his concerns about technology making people weak, certainly making authoritarianism more easy, has come true. I mean, the internet that was, for a very long time there facilitating free speech is now used to throttle it. Well, that kind of was one of his concerns with regards to digital communication now, wasn't it? Ted Kaczynski he was a fucking genius. And just think, Ted Kaczynski could have gone on to a star-studded career where he's making he would have been like Jordan Peterson on steroids. The dude's IQ, what was it, 160 or something like that? You wouldn't want to debate him, neither would I. That being said, he gave it all up. He said, "Oh fuck, look at the machine that I'm aiding into in the educational complex. I'm just going to go to a cabin and sort of rough it and do my own home gardening." He could have been, by the way, in the age of YouTube, Ted Kaczynski would have become like the most successful survivalistic YouTuber in history. That he would have been fucking raising chickens and goats and shit like that and showing people how to home can. He probably would have had a little bit less acerbic a view of the technological world once he realized that he was capable of causing people to undergo positive transformation. If that's why I support the free speech on the internet. When you allow people to express themselves, it helps to diffuse situations and reduce social anxiety and so forth, and social alienation. Ted Kaczynski could have been saved if the internet had come around a little bit earlier. Have you ever looked into time travel? Yeah, I would like to travel in time. The problem is you'd become unstuck in your timeline, and the actual people that you would want to return to would never see you again. You would just blink out of existence. I don't know if time travel is possible. I'm kind of skeptical about it myself. Yeah, Ted may have been a little bit nuts, but definitely he was intelligent. And God, imagine his math class. You get berated because you don't know this particular quadratic formula. You kick your ass. And you better not check your mailbox in the morning. Anyway, I think that I'm going to go offline. I've already gone over an hour. I've been having fun ranting about various things here, but at some point I've got to do a news crawl for later. Tomorrow's docket and stuff like that. I got 10 million things to do still, too. Thankfully, I don't have to cook tonight. Dad's making his world-famous mac and cheese. And it's good, by the way. And yeah, I'm going to smother it in ketchup because I'm a fucking maniac. And yeah, ketchup goes on ketchup. Ketchup goes on mac and cheese. It goes on toast sometimes. It can even go on pancakes that already have maple syrup on them. You'd be surprised at how good it tastes. Goes on eggs, most kinds of eggs, scrambled or fried. Goes on sausage, goes on hot dogs, goes on steak if you're cooking it Razor Fist's way. If you cook it my way, you can leave the ketchup off. I've actually, in fact, isn't it right here? Oh, yeah. As the capper to this video. If we can, what the fuck? Kind of bunched up. I put ketchup on the ketchup I put on my ketchup. It's the upgraded version of the old 2000s meme. I put ketchup on my ketchup. I went beyond that. Maybe I'll wear that when I go on Timcast. That'd be funny. We'll have medium rare steak and pineapple pizza live and as an homage to a Razor Fist or something. Yes, ketchup can go on pancakes that already have syrup on them. You would be just try it sometime. Okay, it's basically tomatoes. Okay. Yeah, sticky shirt. I think I don't know. It's probably silkscreen or something like that. So I don't know. I have to flatten it out. Yes, human GPT. Ted Kaczynski, if I remember correctly, died last year, actually. Anyway, I'm going to go offline. I thank you all for having joined in. Over 5,000 people, almost 6,000 actually at peak. And yeah, I'm going to go eat ketchup and stuff with the ketchup. The ketchup is obviously the main course. That's about all.